Hi, this is Rick Ricart with Imagine Tours and Travel.
And Tim Parker, I'm the Global Marketing Director here at Imagine.
We're going to be joined by Dr. Nathan Lorick. He's the Executive Director of the Southern Baptist Texas. And what makes him a little more unique is he oversees about 1,200 churches throughout Texas. He has led many different clergy familiarization tours, as well as done some private trips as well. And he's got some incredible insight that he's going to share with us about why you should travel to Israel and really the benefits of experiencing it firsthand.
So let's jump into it. All right, welcome, and we're here with our good friend, Pastor Nathan Lorick. Welcome to Imagine That, Nathan. If you wouldn't mind, just take a couple of minutes to introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to speak about the effectiveness and incredible experience that Imagine Tours and Travel gives and allows and creates for not only people but churches. My name is Nathan Lorick. I lead a network of churches in Texas called the Southern Baptist of Texas Convention. We're a network of over 2,800 churches here in Texas that partner together to reach Texas and the world. And been married to my bride for almost 24 years. We have 4 kids, one that's about to get married. And so life is fast and furious, but I just appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to speak into what you do, because it sure makes an impact in the lives of people.
Thank you, Nathan.
Yeah, we appreciate you being here. Can you tell us how many times you've led tours over to Israel or Greece?
Oh man, I think I've been to Israel 5 times maybe, and then I've been in the footsteps of Paul tour with you guys 1 time, and so I think I've done either been on or led trips with you guys 5 or 6 times.
You're kind of unique. We typically have tour hosts that are taking parishioners or their congregations over to Israel and Greece and other destinations. You have kind of found a niche or something that you have felt led and that's very important about getting pastors over there. Can you talk a little bit about those past trips?
Sure. Well, I have pastored a couple of churches, and unfortunately, looking back in hindsight, I would have done anything to go back and be able to have taken my people there as their pastor and walked them through those biblical experiences. And so I had transitioned from being a pastor into network denominational ministry before I ever had the chance to go to Israel. And once I went, I knew that this is an experience that every pastor and leader needs to have. And I've said to countless of pastors, every pastor needs to go to Israel at least once, because it changes the way you see Scripture and you communicate Scripture. You go to seminary and you read about it, you learn about it, you learn how to create messages for your people out of it. But until you go and see the backdrop of what you've read and studied and preached for years, it just gives an entirely different feel and experience to the Scriptures. They just come to life. And there's just a difference when you can say, hey, I've been on the Sea of Galilee, the very water that Jesus walked on. And I've been in Jerusalem. I've been on the southern steps. All the experiences you get to see and experience through a tour with you guys, it's just eye-opening, and it changes the way that you communicate and really study the Word. And so for me, in the ministry the Lord's allowed me and entrusted with me, the ministry is to pastors and churches. So the joy I get is to take pastors, and in particularly, man, I love taking pastors on their first trip to Israel as this truth comes to light, as what they've read about now is in sight.
Can I ask you also, what's been the feedback that you've received from some of the pastors that not only went with you initially on a promotional trip for them to experience it the first time, but then when they came back with their own church congregations?
Well, I think for one, when they go, all the things I just talked about, man, it just lights up for them. It's really greater than any class you can take. And then for them to get to go and pastor their people through that experience, and they get to sit at Caesarea Philippi and they get to talk to their people about when Jesus asked the question, "Who do they say that I am?" And with that in the backdrop is phenomenal. And it's just a deeper level of being able to connect with their people than they've ever been able to do, because they are in the context of the scriptures. And so it's incredible experience for pastors to do that. And every pastor that I know that has gone on a tour with me and then turn around and have taken their church, man, they absolutely love it. They can't wait to go back. They can't wait to get more people to go. And not only that, guys, what it does as well, it does for me with pastors and does with pastors or people, is, man, I get to spend 10 days with pastors, and I don't get that extended time often. And these pastors get to spend those 10 or 12 days with their people in such an incredible place and experience. And so I always encourage pastors, man, you've got to go and you need to take your people.
You have led, in fact, we got to travel with you, I think back in summer of 22, and you had 3 buses of pastors that you took overseas. How do you kind of prep for that on that level?
Yeah, so the best way I know how to describe it was just organized chaos, controlled chaos. When you have that many, I think we took 128 total. And with that size of a group, just the logistics were challenging. But that's where, if you're watching this, I would say to you, with all seriousness and truth, Imagine Tours and Travel is the best there is on the logistical side of all the details. We didn't have to worry about any of that. You're always going to have challenges of people losing luggage and those kind of things, but man, they walked alongside of us with it. From our perspective and from my side, I was out there promoting the trip, and I have an assistant who is phenomenal. She just does an incredible job, and she was working with you guys to get the trip organized and all the logistics, because we had people coming from different places in Texas, some from Houston, some from Dallas, meeting up, flying in, and you guys did such a great job with all the details and the buses and the hotels, etc. But for us, we did have a leader from my staff on each bus, so that they were able to spend time with those people on the bus, and those people were able to engage with that staff member. And then for us in particular, and I would certainly encourage if the opportunity arises, we kind of had some time as a group a couple of times during our 10 days where we pulled our entire group into a room for an hour and a half, and we sang together, we worshiped together. And man, we just heard stories from people of what was the most impactful place that you visited today, and how has God spoken to you while you've been here walking in the footsteps of Jesus. And it was just such an incredible time. And so logistically, you're always going to have challenges when you take that number of people, but that's what you guys are experts on. And that's why I'm so high on Imagine Tours and Travel, because we didn't have to worry about a single thing. In fact, Rick, I brought my assistant with us on the trip because I told her, I don't want to have to deal with any of the issues that come up. I just want to love on pastors and be with them. And we almost had to make up an issue on the last day just to give her something to do, because it went so smoothly.
Well, thank you. And she's a great assistant too. So all the prep work prior to makes a huge difference. It's not just what we do, but it's, how well we work with you and what you provide to us, which is incredible.
You've talked a little bit about the impact that it has had on you and your ministry. Have you had instances that the guys have come back and said, "Wow, this has just opened my congregation's eyes," just in the ability to be able to teach from the Bible, having stood in those places?
Oh, of course. I mean, I don't know that you can go to Israel and not have your life impacted in such a way when you read scripture that you see it differently, and it's just more authentic. Because again, one of my trips with you guys, I'm out on the Sea of Galilee at night, and I just laid down in the boat and looked at the stars and thought to myself, this is the same view the disciples had when they fished. I mean, like, you don't get that on a lake in Texas, you don't get that on a lake in Florida or in the ocean, but you get that on the Sea of Galilee. And so when you have that kind of experience, man, that you're able to teach the word with more clarity and much more depth. I'll give you an example. It's an example I've used multiple times. I've got a master's and doctorate degree. I've studied the scriptures. I've preached the scriptures thousands of times all over the world. But I always thought when you think of the Sea of Galilee, you think of this massive, massive body of water. And the first time I went with you guys, we go to the Sea of Galilee, I get out there and I realize on a clear day, you can see the whole sea. You can see north, east, south, west banks. It's not this massive body of water. In fact, I have lakes 10, 15 minutes from my house that are probably larger than the Sea of Galilee. And so when Jesus tells his disciples, let's go to the other side, and then the storm comes, you're able to understand differently because you know these disciples had been on that water many a times fishing. They knew where the shores were. And it just shows how fierce the storm was for them to have doubt and fear, because that was home to many of them. They had been on that place so many times. They knew where every side was. And just for a moment in this circumstance, they had forgotten the promise that Jesus said, let's go to the other side, that he was saying, we're going to the other side. And you're just able to pick up those kind of truths when you see it with your eyes that, man, you don't get that experience anywhere else.
Can I have you share on a personal note? I know you took your family on a private trip, just having your father and kids come along and to do that. How was that different, in that experience compared to bringing pastors?
I think there were 14 of us total with my kids, my father, and my parents and my mother-in-law and sister-in-law, brother-in-law, and their kids. And man, to sit at the Garden of Gethsemane, knowing where Jesus prayed, not my will, but yours be done, and look at my family and just have a moment to just be able to pray, God, that your will would be done in our lives, to sit at the tomb and to have the Lord's Supper together as a family and just say, man, this is symbolic of what Jesus did for us. And to go to the Western Wall, and there's a picture of me and my father and my 3 boys. So 3 generations there praying at the wall. I'll never forget those experiences, and to be able to watch everyone except my wife. That was their first time to ever go. And so my dad, who is over 70, had never been. Of course, my kids hadn't. And so, man, what a unique and special event to be able to do. And it was really a lifelong dream. I got the idea from a mentor of mine who's gone to be with the Lord, and they saved up for many, many, many years and took their entire family, all their grandchildren. And, I thought that's the kind of investment I want in my kids. We can go to a beach or we can go to mountains, and those are great. And we have done, and we will do those things. But I knew that my oldest son was going off to college, and I knew that our family dynamics would change and life would change as he grew. And he's, like I said, he's about to get married. And I just knew this was my one shot to take my family and really disciple them in that context. And I will forever be grateful for that opportunity, and forever be grateful for Imagine Tours and Travel for partnering with me and planning a trip, even for that small of a group, to be able to go and to experience that together. I pray that when I'm long gone, that my kids will always remember that moment that we had there in Israel, in those different places.
Well, it's an honor and a pleasure to do so. So thank you. Now that you've been to travel, you've traveled, multiple times to Israel. You haven't been able to travel the last couple of years because of October 7th. Now with the hostages being freed and returned back to Israel, what's your thoughts on travel now to Israel?
Well, you and I have talked, Rick. I have had no hesitation, even in the midst of the war, because I've said this to people, and when we were getting ready for that family trip, I was saying to my mother-in-law, I'm telling you, I don't believe there's a safer place on planet Earth. And I've never felt one moment of fear or even uncertainty in all of my trips there. And so even in the midst of the conflict, I would have got on a plane personally and gone. But I understand the fear and the uncertainty and the unknown of those who've never been. And Rick, as you know, I've had 3 trips with you to different places in the world that we've had to cancel for different world events that have happened. And you've always been very kind and gracious. And that's why it's one of the reasons we keep coming back to Imagine Tours and Travel, because you operate with utmost integrity. But man, I'd go today. I mean, I'm telling you, I'd get on a plane and I would go today. In fact, we've been talking about a trip. I just got to find the right timing because I serve pastors and their wives, many of their wives work. And so we're just trying to find the right rhythm and timing to go again. But I have people ask me all the time. In fact, just a quick story, Rick, I've not even told you this, but a guy that was going to go with me on our next trip is a very young pastor. And about 3 weeks ago, on a Saturday night, he started having some chest pains and went to the ER. And they found I believe it was a 9-centimeter mass on his lungs. So they transferred him here to Dallas, and a very, very young guy. I think he's 41, 42. And they've found leukemia. And so I went up to the hospital and visited him. Want to know how he was doing. Right before I walked out of the room, he said, "Nathan, we're still going to Israel because I'm going to get better so I can go to Israel." And that's the kind of stuff these guys look forward to. And so I'm hoping to get a trip solidified on the books very, very quickly.
We have directors, we have presidents that kind of sit in the same position that you do, pastoring pastors. What would be words of encouragement, something that you would share about encouraging them to do the very same thing that you've done so many times?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the key to that what I get to do when I take pastors and leaders is I get to build a deeper relationship with them than I ever would have the opportunity to do. I mean, we're eating together, breakfast, lunch, dinner. We're seeing these sites. We're talking about these sites. We're praying together. And I'm able to get to know them. I'm able to get to know their family because I say, "Tell me about your wife, your kids. Tell me about what's going on in your church." And so we are able to go beyond the surface level of a relationship between a pastor and a leader and someone who leads a network they choose to partner with to friends. And man, I stay in contact with so many of those who've gone. And, after Israel, we took a trip in the footsteps of Paul across Greece, which again was a phenomenal experience. And many who went with Israel with me on that first trip went to Greece with me in the footsteps of Paul, and have just been able to build that relationship with them. And with building a relationship in a special, intimate context like that, you also are able to build trust and friendships, and you just endear yourself to each other, and you begin to love that brother for him living out God's calling, and he gets to know me and my family. And so there's not a dollar amount or a value you can put on the experience you get to have when you're serving other leaders like that, and they give up that time and they sacrifice to be able to go experience something like that. And here's what I'll say to you: they'll forget a lot of things we do as a network. They'll never forget that trip to Israel. They'll never forget how we were able to, for us, we supplement a lot of the cost, and they'll never forget that investment that we've made in them personally in their ministry. And we're very grateful, very, very grateful to have the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, we've been able to witness those relationships, Rick and I, Zach, as we're spending time with you at conferences. We know you're a busy man just with the details of the conference, but you are also sought out by those pastors. They want to continue to catch up with you. They love you and appreciate all that you've done for them. And just it's exciting to see that those relationships have been built through your love for them, but also through your spending time with them traveling. So we appreciate you.
Yeah, it's a joy, and it gives me the opportunity to be a pastor to them for a while and to love them. One of our trips, Rick, you might remember, we were a few days in, and one of our passengers had a son-in-law that passed away unexpectedly, and you worked with me, and we had to get them back on a plane, and he's brought that up many a times with me and many times with people that I'm connected with, that was just a moment that he needed somebody there to walk with him and love on him. And, God just allowed that opportunity for that to happen. So I always tell people God's in your tomorrow waiting on you to get there. And God, if you're thinking about taking a trip, I mean, God's already in that trip, and he's going to create experiences that you could not create outside of that trip. And I promise you, you won't regret the opportunity you get to spend time with either pastors or leaders, or if you are a pastor, your people, and how they will love you for creating the opportunity for that trip. It's a trip of a lifetime.
It truly is.
So, Rick, you have anything else you want to ask?
No, Nathan, you've covered everything, so I truly appreciate it very much.
Yeah, let me say one more thing. You guys didn't ask me to do this, but I believe in what you do so much, because your ministry has greatly impacted my life and my ministry. And so if you guys are praying about a trip, Israel, Footsteps of Paul, the 7 churches, all the opportunities that Imagine Tours and Travel give to you, certainly you want to pray and ask God for the right timing, but I just want to encourage you to do it. I want to encourage you to dive in deep with Imagine Tours and Travel. You won't be sorry. They lead with utmost integrity, and they have a servant's heart, and I've never had an issue. Not one time have I had an issue they couldn't resolve or figure out on the front end, in the middle of it, of the trip. And so you're in good hands, and I wholeheartedly recommend what they do, and grateful not only for what they do, but for their friendship and partnership in the kingdom's work with me. So just encourage you guys to take that step, take your people, go and enjoy it, and watch what God does.
Thank you.
Thanks for everything, Nathan. We sure do appreciate you taking time, and we appreciate your friendship, and look forward to many years.
Absolutely, my friend.
Thank you, Nathan. Thank you for listening today and watching Dr. Nathan Lorick as he shared with us some of the insights on leading trips. If you would like to learn more about him, feel free to contact us so we can put you in contact with him. In addition to that, please subscribe to our channel and like our Facebook page. And if you'd like to reach us, feel free to call us at 863-709-9208, or you can email us at sales@ittworld.com. And thank you for staying with us.
Thanks. Take care.